All right, Nigel's up. What's up, Nigel? He's here every week asking good questions. He says, "Good day, gents. Thanks for answers and patience last week. Super helpful as always. By the way, Jeffrey Smith's SEO Bootcamp is going well. The thorough, easy to consume and digest. Will be implementing soon." Yeah, there's a lot to implement in there, buddy. A lot to implement in there. BrowSEO still working 2018, 2016 Hump Day Hangout solid overview. If yes, any advice on approach, usage, your application of it presently and all. I still use it the exact same way I've always used it, which is just to manage multiple profiles and build histories, like browsing histories and cookies and all that kind of stuff for the personas, for the different accounts. That's all I use it for. There are a ton of other features. I know that. I've never taken the time to learn any of the other features, in part because I hear that the training sucks, it's disorganized and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to put down BrowSEO, but I've heard a lot of complaints about that stuff. We've had a lot of people ask us if we would produce training for BrowSEO over the last 2 years. And I'm not going to commit to doing that because, again, I only use it for a very specific reason. And for that, it works really, really well. Okay. And again, that all I do, like I use BrowSEO specifically just to have a whole bunch of different profiles, persona accounts, whatever. I even keep client accounts and stuff in there now. And that way, when I open up the browser, all the history and everything's still there. And by the way, guys, a lot of those personas are just on my own IP. Like I know I've mentioned in the past, if you're really, really concerned about IP diversity and all that kind of stuff, then you can use proxies with BrowSEO, right? There's absolutely, I would recommend you get dedicated proxies, dedicated private proxies. In other words, and when you get, like, for example, when you buy proxies, a lot of times, like, you have the option, well, some places don't even give you the option, but some places will give you the option of having the proxies replaced every 30 days. And when I say get private proxies, I mean don't get shared proxies, because then you end up sharing them with other people, and so you got people logging in and with different histories and all that stuff through those IPs. You don't want to do that. You want to get dedicated proxies specific to you, and then you want to have them permanent proxies. Occasionally, they might blacklist anyways, and you got to get them replaced, in which case you could replace the proxy or the IP with another IP from the same city, and it typically won't trigger a re-verification of the Google account or any other account for that matter, if it's in the same locality, right? The same, if it's close in proximity. But if you have, again, just so you guys know, most of the stuff I do in BrowSEO is just on my own IP. I mean, think about it, guys. If you've got, but here's the thing. Here's why this is important. When we do what we used to do years ago, which was, and this has been taught in Syndication Academy, but that was, log in to or use Firefox, clear browsing cache history, cookies, all that, run CCleaner, then open up Firefox in a brand new fresh session, and then log into whatever account you want to log into. Well, then what happens when you want to log into another account? You got to go through that process again. And it's not the process that's the problem. The problem is every time you open up that browser, you're in a 100% clean environment again, right? And so that's completely unnatural. That is 100% unnatural, right, guys? I mean, people that log into their accounts, they don't wipe most people anyways, unless you're wearing a tinfoil hat. They're not going to, clean their browser after every session. And so there's no history, there's no cache, there's no no profile being built up for that persona. And so it's very, very unnatural. So again, when I'm using BrowSEO now, I just use my own IP, but every browsing session is accruing its own history. It's building a profile for that persona, right? Because every time I log in, it's still in the same session. Even though it's on my IP, it's in its own browsing session that's attached to that persona, right? And so think about when you go to Starbucks, or you go to a public library, or you go to anywhere where there's public Wi-Fi and everybody's using it. It's all on the same IP, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Now, if you're building a shit ton of backlinks from different profiles and stuff, and they're all from the same IP, that's one thing. But if you're just logging into accounts and doing day-to-day activity stuff for your different persona accounts and things like that, it's perfectly fine to have them all under the same IP, right? But as long as the browsers are accruing histories and building a profile for each one of those personas. So they each have their own separate browsing session that isn't wiped clean after every session, if that makes sense. Okay. And I've had zero problems doing that using just my own IP, guys. So I don't even use proxies. Don't get me wrong, I've got a handful of accounts that I still have running through proxies in BrowSEO. But the vast majority of my stuff just runs through my own IP now. Okay. It's a great question, Nigel. So as far as, you know, if you want, somebody else meant, I think there's another, what's the other one, guys, that's not BrowSEO, but other people are using it, they're happy. Is it Ghost Browser?
Yeah, Ghost Browser.
Ghost Browser. Okay. You might want to try that one too. Apparently that one's got better training, and it's not that I'm knocking Simon and his stuff. It's just apparently the training's been disorganized. It's hard to follow. It's hard to find and that kind of stuff. And so if you're looking to do more than just the basic use of what I use it for, then you may want to go with something that is a little bit easier to follow, so to speak.